Alright, my friends, Happy Home Computers here. Now, I've tried everything on this Samsung model np270e5e to try to get it to boot to the hard drive. But inside the BIOS, it says that the hard drive is frozen. And I did everything that the YouTube people show to reset the BIOS, to do take out the BIOS battery. I'm just going to show you guys that none of what they showed to do works. It tries to boot to Windows 8, then goes into your PC, ran into an error, and it just does it again. Go into escape to go into the BIOS. If you go over to security, it says that the hard drive password is frozen. If you go into boot order, and I changed the boot order because normally, or boot options, because normally it says just UEFI right here. It says secure boot enabled, and UEFI, and CMS OS. Now, if you want to go back to Windows XP or Windows 7, which is what I'm going to try, it's hard to do with a broken hand, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm going to go back to Windows 7 with it because I can't get it to boot to Windows 8. It just keeps doing the same thing. Now, they showed how to reset the BIOS on YouTube. And I never understand on YouTube why they don't talk during their stuff or show it when it's completed, working. I mean, they always just show you where they say this is how you do it. And I did everything. Went to load setup defaults, went into security, tried to change the secure boot configuration. And if you go into secure the boot configuration, or not that, if you go into security, reset manufacturer's default right there, enter, or you go into customize signatures and try to change it. It'll say that it fails to change. Right now, it's got it disabled because I'm going to go back to, but normally it'll all be enabled. Inside here where it says secure boot disabled, I'm going to go back to Windows 7 and disable the secure boot. And inside here, you can go UEFI or comms. I would go with comms OS or CSM OS. So that will boot to the hard drive for Windows 7, and it won't try to boot to the BIOS for secure boot. And I'm going to try it and see if it works. But let me show you that I tried everything. Exit and save changes. Now if I go back in there, see, it's still the same. CSM OS. So what they show on YouTube, and like I said, none of it's worked for me, is that there's a comms reset jumper on the bottom. So you take out the hard drive, take out all the little screws, you can see all the little screws, take them all out, the back plate snaps off, you can pull out the CD drive. Like I said, there's 4 screws on the motherboard. There's a BIOS battery, because they show if you remove the BIOS battery that it'll reset the BIOS. That doesn't work. They show this little, because it even says reset on the jumper down there. And it says if you hold it down with the screwdriver, or you can even hear it. It makes a little noise. But then, like I said, you go and turn it back on. And it's worked before for Toshiba models. So I gave it a try. But whatever it is, it doesn't have to do with the BIOS. It must have to do with the drivers that it wants from Samsung. And for all I know, Windows 7 will have the same problem, that it'll want some special driver to make it work. So it'll want the original factory recovery partition. See, it goes right back into there. Escape. Like I said, it still says CSM OS and secure boot disabled, which is not what it reset was, is not what it says when it back to its reset in the BIOS, because it still says that the HDD is frozen. And I don't know if that's what the problem is, or if it's something else, but I'm going to try to Windows 7. I mean, I took out the battery, and I'll show you, because it ain't nothing to take it all apart and take out the battery. It's kind of a pain in the butt while you're holding the phone, but it ain't nothing to do. There's 4 screws. There's one there. There's one there. And see, I've marked them. There's one there. And there's one underneath the... right there, underneath the fan cover. And you just unplug everything. And I didn't even screw it all back down yet or do anything to it, because I was keeping on trying to see if one of the things it shows on YouTube will actually work for it. But I haven't found none of that stuff to work. Now I've tried everything, you know, jumper in it with different, tips of different stuff, screwdrivers, nail files, files, thinking, it wants copper, silver on the jumper, but that don't seem to do it. And like I said, I'll show you. Take out the BIOS battery. And it shows just take out the BIOS battery. And they, like I said, they never show it fully working. They only show that they do these things, and then it shows on YouTube, put it back together and it'll work. But they never show, like I said, they never show the end result once you put it back together. Like I said, it'll go right back to the BIOS being frozen or the HDD password being frozen. I don't even know, what that's all about, because I took the HDD out and formatted it, and it formatted fine. So it's not frozen. I've had ones that are frozen from Toshiba, and the hard drives won't format. They're locked. So all I'm going to do is try and put Windows 7 back in it. And yeah, I mean, you can try this stuff all day. Put it all back together. And I'm going to keep this under the 15 minutes that it takes to put it on YouTube. So, I mean, I'll just show you guys that nothing's working. None of those things that they show. And yeah, I mean, I'll debunk everybody on YouTube if I have to, because I don't like that when they say, oh yeah, this works, that works, this works. No, it don't. And you do it all, you take it all apart. If anybody knows what actually works, message me back. And let me know what actually does work, because I would like to know. And it may be just going back to, like I said, maybe going back to Windows 7. Maybe the drivers are on Windows 7 that it needs, and who knows? There's so many things that it could be, and I'd have to call Samsung and ask Samsung, what's the deal? Do you have a set of recovery discs for this thing that I can order? I mean, I buy all the recovery discs right from the original manufacturer if I have to. If that's the absolute only way to go. But most of the time, stuff on YouTube works. And that reset on the BIOS jumper pin has worked in the past for me on Toshiba models. So I won't say that it doesn't work. I just, maybe I'm not doing something right. So I said, if anybody knows, let me know. And this stuff's hard to do with one hand, but I'll have to just stop it now, and it's at 15 minutes late.